welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Please share this in your groups and with your friends. Let them know that we're here. It's a Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp
and Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP Fargo-Moorhead, where we're adding local color to your airwaves. You can also find all of our other shows online at kpppfm.com. And tonight on a Mexican Crossing Lines, I am doing a Caravan update with Oscar El Blue Ramirez here on my show for the second time and hopefully for many times to come. He's a correspondent for Border Network News, a radio show broadcaster and commentator. You can also follow Oscar on Facebook at Oscar El Blue and Abusados. We will share all of those links with you here in the comments of our show. Welcome to the show, Oscar. Thank you for being with us once again.
How you guys doing? Hi, Cindy. Hi to Duke. Thank you. You guys are so nice. And to say hi to everybody and over there in the beautiful state of Minnesota. Is it still snowing, Cindy?
Duke, you want to answer that? You shoveled this morning.
Oh, it is still snowing. It is snowing and snowing and snowing and snowing and snowing.
It should be the Antarctica over there. What is going on?
Yeah, I don't know. Then we're going to get all the snow melting and melting and melting, so we're going to have water everywhere.
We're going to have a pool in my backyard if anyone wants to go swimming, because when this melts, it's going to be flooded. It's crazy out here. Yeah, I'm ready for some sunshine.
It's phenomenal to be with you guys again, and hopefully we will have more shows to come.
That is right. Many more, I hope. I have a bunch of updates from Oscar El Blue today. We're going to talk with Oscar about the Caravan update in Tijuana, the Caravan update in Chiapas, the death explosion, an explosion of crimes and deaths that is occurring in Mexico right now. We will talk about Alfonso Guerrero Ulloa, the terrorist that is exiled in Mexico currently. Well, he is back in Tijuana, right in Oscar's neck of the woods. Also, we're going to talk about the Cien por Tijuana protest and the ousting of the head of human rights group for Tijuana. I'm also going to share some images, some very disturbing images of the threats to Mexico's sovereignty from a WhatsApp that is shared on Abusados' page, as well as some images that Oscar shared with me. Where do you want to start, Oscar?
You call the shots. You're the boss, Indy. Whatever you want to start.
Well, I thought that we could start with this WhatsApp image. Duke, if you could throw that up on the screen, I'd like for you to comment on what it says. It's in Spanish, so I'm going to read it for my audience. It says, Caravana, enero, so that's January, Caravan. And then it's got some phone numbers there. Eso solo con armas. That can only be accomplished with weapons. The other person says, okay, correcto. Con armas, sí. All right, got it. With weapons, yes. Then someone says, el pueblo no tiene huevos. That means this nation has no balls. And then the next one says, hay muchos que tienen huevos, dinero para armarse no. This person says, there are many people with balls. He's referring to Mexico, but he says, but the money to arm themselves, they have none. Then another person says, looks like his name is there, El Perro y el Gato. It says, sería bueno reunirse y planear. It would be good to get together and to plan. Oscar, please comment on what this means to you as a Mexican. How do you feel about the threat to the sovereignty of your country that is currently taking place?
As soon as I saw that, hi to everybody. I'm Oscar Blue. Thank you again. As soon as I saw that, I felt, not threatened, but I felt extremely disappointed. Extremely disappointed, not on this Caravan, because I'm not afraid of them. I have showed them and recorded and doing coverage of them and having conversations with them face to face, even help them money out of my pocket, clothes given to them. And I'm disappointed, not not even in the caravan or the government. I'm really disappointed in my people. I'm extremely disappointed. These people have been doing this since the first caravan. Remember the first caravan that came in Chiapas? They threw rocks and with sticks, and they came over violently through our border. And they damaged our officers and federal agents through our border. And now they're at it again. They did exactly the same thing again. And with this new caravan, these are, text messages that they show the disrespect to our country. They show the disrespect to our government. They show the disrespect to everybody. They don't care about anything. And like I told you guys, last program that we did, they're bringing stuff in their backpacks. And if they bring in something in their backpacks and they're preparing something, basically over here in Tijuana, we're not afraid, but we're concerned of our government not doing anything about it. Now, imagine. Yes, go ahead.
I wanted to stop you there just for a moment because I wanted to bring some context to what you just said. In our last show, you told me that one of the reasons that people are crossing without identifying themselves, crossing in an illegal fashion, is because they are believed to be trafficking drugs and other contraband. Also, today you shared with me that the Mexican authorities did report this publicly in a press conference. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct.
That's where you got that information from.
Yes.
And you're going to be sending me those that press conference later on so that I can share it with my audience because, as you all know, I'm a Mexican Crossing Lines. We show our work here. We show our receipts. So we will be bringing you that evidence. Now, go ahead and talk about this latest incursion through Chiapas that turned violent and ugly once again.
Well, this happened. It's not that I feel mad. It's a feeling that somebody is in your backyard. It doesn't it disrespects you in a way, and you tell him to get out, and he doesn't get out. Exactly the same way everybody's feeling. These immigrants were the amount were 600, and they arrived in the port of the bridge of Suchiate, trying to cross to our country. The federal agents stopped them, and they told them no. This was on apparently it was Saturday night, and everything, all hell got loose on Sunday and on Monday. All of them forced the entry, carrying big backpacks, and all these backpacks. When they force the entry, and where they're trying to force the entry, is because they're carrying something. They're not forcing the entry because they want to cross and because they are, hurting and because they want to migrate. Yes, they want to migrate, but because they're carrying something. And a lot of them, the majority of them, were carrying bags. In this caravan, there were a few women and children, but a lot of them were men from Honduras and El Salvador. So what happened? They rushed the border. And it's ridiculous, Cindy. This is extremely ridiculous how our government is not protecting our south border. It's ridiculous. They put 150 agents, only 150 agents. And they actually know by intelligence that they have in Guatemala, they know how much is the number that is going to come. So it's ridiculous. And you don't put, add, and you put maths and you add the numbers and it doesn't, it doesn't add. It doesn't fit. What they are, if you got 500 people coming to your border and you put 150 agents only, what do you think is going to happen?
How many did they catch?
They're going to rush the border again.
Yeah. How many did they actually catch? Because I saw varying numbers of the number of people that were actually captured and sent back to their country, or at least deported over the southern border of Mexico.
Yes, there were another one that you're talking about that there were 200 of them captured. This was in I believe that it was Friday or Saturday.
Okay.
Now, in this one, this is the thing that it gets me mad. This one, yeah, it gets me mad. Out of the 600, only 55 got captured. 55.
Wow.
And the federal agents, 150 agents for 55 people. Come on. What kind of federal agents we're talking about? They don't know how to arrest somebody? They don't know how to do their job? Are they afraid? They're carrying guns, long shotguns, and they're not able to use them, Cindy, because that is the order, the high order from the head chief commander, that is our president, to not shoot and to not arrest. Just resist, because they have to come in documented in a peacefully way. And that, again, they haven't done that.
No.
And today,
one thing I wanted to
yes.
One thing I wanted to share for my audience, because I know that my American audience likely has not seen the images, the videos, the altercation that took place. The people, and this is my opinion, I'll let you elaborate in a moment here, but my opinion is that these people were trained. They were educated like protesters, the way that they were shouting at the cops, the way that they were behaving. They were being rude. They were being petulant. They were being aggressive. They were being aggressive with the police. And I just wanted, I'm not making excuses for the police, because I know, or Inami, because I know that they were outnumbered. And as you said, they have intelligence. They could have sent more agents, but they didn't. So what did they expect for those agents to be able to do, being so outnumbered, right? What were your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, it looks like it looks like an arrangement, Cindy. It looks basically like an arrangement. And we all know that these people, these organizations from America, a lot of them, they have been seen in Guatemala and Honduras. A lot of them. Mm-hmm. And what is an American doing over there in this immigrant movement? We already know what they're doing. They're coaching them. They're telling them what to do. They're telling them their rights. They're telling them their human rights as soon as they get to the border, and they're telling them how to claim asylum as soon as they cross illegally to the United States. How would I feel about 150 agents just put in the border? This is just being extremely irresponsible, not only for the lives of 150 agents. They have families, they have kids. Imagine these people are just receiving orders to go and do their job against 600 immigrants. It's just incredibly ridiculous. And now that the 600 rushed the border, what is the next move? Are we going to get all these 30,000 that they're coming from Panama and they're coming up? That's the speculation of 30,000. All these Cubans, Africans, Colombians, how are they going to be stopping that caravan? They're not. It's going to happen again. And this is the thing that it gets me extremely mad, that our government is not doing absolutely nothing, Cindy, absolutely nothing, because of the order that Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, our president, told, and the Secretary of Government, Secretary of Immigration, Guerrero, told these immigrants, you guys are welcome here. There's a lot of jobs. Come in. And as soon as they get to the fence, as soon as they get to the borderline, they start screaming, our president told us that it's okay for us to cross. Imagine that. Our president, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, he's taken that. It seems like he wants to be the domination of whole Central America and whole Mexico and whole Central America, to be the power and the leader of all and the savior of these people, because he's not doing anything about it, Cindy. He's not doing anything about it. It's 600 that just crossed. Out of the 600, how are you just gonna arrest 55?
Dang. That's terrible. And you also mentioned, and this was in our phone call earlier in the week, you told me that there was a trailer that was found all the way down in Chiapas that had dual plates from Texas and also from Mexico. Do you want to talk more about that? Because you have a history of truck driving, so you know how strange this whole arrangement is. Can you explain why?
For order to have a trailer that has binational, that is the way it's called, binational plates, mm-hmm. They have a limit and they have a permit.
Okay.
If you get out of the city, the trailer doesn't have the authority to go out of the city if a permit is not given from the United States. Mm. Why? Because it has merchandise from the United States. Now, to drive back that trailer, it means that that trailer doesn't have to come empty. It has to come loaded, or it has a permit from the United States again. What is a trailer from Texas doing all the way down south? Has never happened. I have never seen trailers from Texas. What they do over here is that they bring a trailer from America when they cross a trailer from the United States to Mexico, or Tijuana, for that example, and that trailer gets all the merchandise, gets transferred to another trailer that has Mexican plates. And that trailer that has Mexican plates, it can go on and to the south, onto whatever place in the country. But now you get these trailers that they were specifically put on strategical areas to pick up people.
Mm-hmm.
Not to pick up merchandise, to pick up people. And that this incident just takes me back to when this caravan started,
Mm-hmm.
that they were not moving them in buses.
Yeah.
They were moving them in tractors and in trailers.
Yep.
And they were saying, how do you got here? When I started interviewing them, I started telling them, how do you got here?
Mm-hmm.
They were saying, jalón, that means right. That
Right.
means, how do you say it in English?
That they were hitchhiking.
Yeah, hitchhiking.
Yeah.
And basically, I was like, well, wow, all these truck drivers helping them.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so humanitarian.
No, I thought it was remarkable because I thought the cops would pull over the trailers doing that because it looks like human trafficking. I'm like, how did they get away with because I saw, that Frenchman, Sinbad, Rumney, Guggenheim, Amadeo, whatever the hell his name is, the French guy. That guy, he was taking pictures of himself in little videos along the way. Hey, send us money because we're buying food and snacks for the people in this trailer. And then he shows all these people in the back of a trailer. I'm like, what in the hell is going on?
First of all, Cindy, this guy Sinbad, he I believe that he has millions and millions. Why he's asking for money? That's one of the things that I don't understand about this. I don't understand about these people that they have lots of money and they're asking for money. What is the whole purpose in this caravan? Like all these artists and actors coming over all the way down here to the south. I don't understand the whole point. Second of all, they're putting in a trailer, but they don't have holes to breathe, and they're just how a truck driver in Mexico to stop to help immigrants? You got to be kidding me! They don't do that. They don't do that. The only way that they will do that is for them to be bought. Mm-hmm. That's the only way.
Yeah,
if they were bought, that eventually is, the number one option. Is how are you going to be a truck driver and drive 50 to 100 people in a trailer, in a 53-foot trailer?
And how is it possible that there were so many trailers that just happened to be empty? They weren't carrying anything at the time, so you could fill them up with humans. And nobody got fired. Correct. No truck driver got fired for doing that. I'm like, no, that's not true. That's just not possible.
And this trailer was in I don't know what part of Mexico. I think it was Oaxaca.
Okay.
That was the part.
Okay.
That they saw this trailer.
Okay.
And this trailer eventually picked up around 40 to 50 people, and they took them up to San Luis, and San Luis to Nuevo León, and the route.
Right.
I don't know. There's no explanation for me, Cindy. The only explanation is that it goes back to the number one reason that I've been telling everybody, because the American people get so hurtful. They get so hurtful when you're talking about somebody that it probably is the person to blame. Mexico is the step to blame because they were the ones that they are inside this international pact of immigration. But Mexico is not the one that is funding everything. These organizations from America and this part of the left is the one that is organizing and is orchestrating and is paying all these buses and all these trailers.
Yeah, I wanted to tell my audience that we have right now, we've got over 163 viewers watching on our live pre-recorded show. If you want to send a question for Oscar, go ahead and post it on the comments, and Nemo will put them on the script for me to ask at the end of the show. I'm not going to ask him questions while we're going through the report right now, but please do send your questions for Oscar. And I wanted to tell you, Oscar, from the last show, I got bombarded with all sorts of questions for you after the show. And people kept saying, and I want you to explain this because we're talking about it right now. We're talking about the southern border. And people were saying, almost in an angry way to me, why isn't Oscar and why aren't the people of Mexico demanding that their president do something about the southern border with Guatemala? Why aren't they putting a wall at the southern border? Why aren't the soldiers or the federal police or INAMI stopping people and deporting them or putting them in detention facilities? Do you want to address that, please?
It goes back to the last program. All this, it goes back to the last program, and is again opening my mouth in a subject that is quite dangerous and is quite delicate, but I'm going to do it just for you guys to know. This is a mafia, people. It is a mafia. And it has to do a lot with the narco and with the government. It has to do a lot with that. And our government is not doing anything about it because it's a mafia again. The people, what are we doing? We in the part of my city, where I am at, we are protesting. We're going in rallies. There's organizations against human rights. That's the subject that we're going to touch later.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that we're doing over here to stop this international pact of immigration. But the people have not been awakening. And it's because it has not happened to those parts of the city and the country. The only parts of the cities, the only cities that they've been really injured, Ciudad Hidalgo, Chiapas, Tapachula, Huixla, and Tuxtla. All those 4 cities in this big state of Chiapas. Mm-hmm. You go to Mexico, you go to San Luis Potosí, Nuevo León, Coahuila, Chihuahua, El Paso, Sonora, and the state of Baja California, that is where I'm at. Mm-hmm. Tijuana, Mexicali. Those are the 2 big cities in this state.
Ensenada.
It is, yes, and Ensenada, and that's the port. But because it has happened to us, we're the only ones we're opening our mouth. But people, just for you guys to know and understand, these people are trafficking drugs, and are trafficking children, and are trafficking everything that they can traffic with the liberty of doing it. Now, I will take you back again to the year 2000 when this character and this person that recently got arrested in the United States, that he has been sentenced, I don't know, I think for life, and has been accused of bribing our last president, Enrique Peña Nieto, with $100 million. I know who you guys know. I can't say the name. Mm-hmm. But this person had control of the country and part of Central America for more than, imagine how many years. Now, he has been, replaced with another cartel. And this cartel, what it's doing is the same. If he bribed our president with $100 million, imagine how much he bribed the United States. Imagine how much. So things have changed. Because why? Because our new president came in. And this new president that came in never received support from this last character. So as soon as AMLO stepped in, we already know that he's not going to like him. So that's why he's over where he's at. And now is another cartel, there's 2 of them, taking over the Gulf and taking over the South. And these people are basically, trafficking in humans. Now, put an idea, people. Just see the smoke screen that is immigration. Just immigration is a smoke screen. Now imagine, what is more expensive? To cross illegal things in a car, in a semi-truck, in a plane, or in a person, and in mass? What is more expensive? What do you think? in people. People cheaper, easier. They have protection from the south all the way to the north. They have transportation. Who's paying it? We already know. Organizations from America, they're paying it. Why? Because their purpose is to destabilize America. And who is bringing them over here? These organizations from America and organizations from immigrants that they come from all the way to Chicago to Mexico. That is Pueblos Sin Fronteras. These organizations, these big organizations, are the ones that they are involved in this.
And don't forget the politicians. Don't forget about the politicians.
You know, there was a document that was released on the week that Chapo. Oh man, I said his name. Hell with it. Chapo said some names and some politicians, and there were a lot of Democrats. A lot of Democrats that were in there. A lot of them. So imagine the arrangement. The arrangement. People, if you guys don't leave, you haven't lived in a border, this is how you arrange when you're in the border and you're involved in a cartel. You have to be involved with the authorities and your government and the city that you're working. And second of all, you need to bribe the United States. Why? To let you work, so-called work, to let you traffic. So if you're giving $1 million in Mexico, you're giving $10 million in the United States. Why? Because that's the door. That's the buyer. That's the one that is providing. So imagine all this money that it came in. So you're asking me, why are they not getting stopped?
Corruption.
It's out of our reach.
Right. It's not that the Mexican people, it isn't that the Mexican people are happy with the caravan. It's not that the Mexican people want all of these caravans to come through the southern border. It's that their hands are literally tied. They don't have the way of doing it. And you are protesting right there in your city. You guys are holding a protest. I know that many of my listeners and viewers, when I talked about how we were going to talk about the protest against the human rights leader in Tijuana, they're like, what? Why would you protest against the human rights body? That institution is supposed to be a good institution. You want them, don't you? Why are the people there protesting against that person?
Human rights, it's the most horrible and deficient institution that it can exist in my country. That is why we're protesting, and I will tell you why. This International Pact of Immigration puts us in the same stature of rights as the same citizens of Mexico. The Constitution is on the same level of the human rights. Imagine that, for being in the International Pact of Immigration. So why this protest took? Because the only way to stop this and to get it deteriorized and to clear it up, good people and bad people coming in, we need to put a point of inspection. That's the one that they don't have in Chiapas. Mm-hmm. What is the point of inspection? The point of inspection is inspection of documents, inspections of tattoos, inspections of DNA tests of the children and the fathers, inspections of your purpose coming into this country. And if your purpose is coming here to work, where are you going to live? I don't have where to live. Okay, you need to stay here and wait till we find you at home. That's why that is our main goal and our main purpose for us to stop this caravan. Why? Meanwhile, we get out of the pact step by step. We can't be like, get us out. Mm-hmm. No, step by step. Meanwhile, we get ourselves out. We need to put a point of inspection. That point of inspection, they don't have it in Chiapas. I don't know, God, why. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. And why was this protest against human rights? Yeah. You can't expect me to sit down and not do anything when human rights is the one that is protecting the immigrants, and you almost burned the building, the federal building for Institutional National Immigration. In Mexicali. Remember, human rights are in charge of the immigrants. Human rights are in charge of the immigrants. So you're permitting this. You're permitting two young kids to go out and not be vigilant of these youngsters go out and about in the city, be involved in prostitution and get killed. You're permitting to young kids go and swim across the border and drown. You're permitting people crossing illegally a street and getting run over. You're permitting people doing their necessities on the street and taking over a street. You're permitting activists. You're permitting instigators. You're permitting deaths. You're permitting all this stuff. And you're permitting all these things. And what do you expect the citizens are going to do?
Right. Let me ask you a question, because I wanted to make sure that people understand. You're talking about the two young men that died after they went with a prostitute that were murdered, and there was 3 people arrested for those murders, but that those young men were staying on the street. Those were the ones that protested and occupied the street outside of Viento y Marea, outside of the Deportivo Benito Juarez. They refused to leave. Those are the people that got killed that you're referring to, correct?
Yes, those are the young kids that I'm referring to.
And I wanted to make mention of the fact that today the group that is giving them legal advice, Al Otro Lado, whose 2 attorneys, one of which was detained and not let into Mexico, and the other of which was questioned in Mexico and then deported, have filed a lawsuit against President Trump. They have filed a lawsuit against President Trump saying that the policy by Homeland Security to send people to wait for their asylum hearing in Mexico is exposing the migrants to being killed, killed by MS-13 or by the cartel. In addition to that, this same group was posting about the deaths of these 2 people you just mentioned in an article by the paper The Guardian. And in that news platform, they were talking about the deaths of these children. They referred to them as children, not teenagers. They didn't really go into the details of what happened the way you just did. But both the activists and the lawyers of Al Otro Lado are talking about those deaths, and they are not blaming it on the negligence of the human rights organizations in Mexico. They are blaming it on President Trump.
That is unbelievable.
Wow. I just wanted to comment on that, because I had that written down to talk about on today's show. I know that sometimes I get the opportunities to interject some information for the Americans here to hear about how this connects to what you guys are trying to do to protect Mexico.
Imagine, these are people that they don't even know how to justify the unjustifiable.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to do it. So they immediately they are on the defensive of being like, oh no, it's not our fault. It's President Trump's fault. Everything's President Trump. Let me tell these 2 ladies, in the month of January and February, we have been broken the record in the country for 339 murders.
Wow.
339 murders. Like I said numerous times, we're number 5 in the world of violence and homicides. We're number 1 in the world, in the country of Mexico, with 49 women homicides in the world. So what do you expect? These people, they're trying to change. They think they're going to change my country. Welcome to my country, women. Welcome to my country. That's the way that it gets resolved over here. Yeah. You see chopped heads. You see chopped bodies in a suitcase. You see all these things every day, every freaking day. It's part of our day. It's part of our culture. It's part of our lives.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's part of our lives. And these women, these women, not blaming human rights, not blaming. Who do you want to blame?
Trump.
The authorities, the Mexican authorities. Remember, you're the one that is migrating.
Mm-hmm.
We are not asking you to come over here. If we were asking you to come over here for help, that is our responsibility, women. But it's not our responsibility because you're migrating. Migrate. Now, listen to this word, migrate, and in Piedras Negras, you want to go sightseeing and being a tourist. You can't be doing that. Where is human rights? Where's human rights with all these illogical things that have been happening, and these things that they're getting out of hand? Where's their education to immigrants? Where is it? There is none. They let these organizations from America come over here, step out human rights. It's my job to coach. They coach them, and it is a disorder. Right. They don't even know what they're doing. So that is why, of all the things that did happen over here in Tijuana, that they've been, oh my God, so many, that we will talk about a little bit further of the murders that happened in Chiapas, and one that just got ran over, a mother with 2 children got ran over. All these irresponsibilities that human rights is doing, somebody has to be held accountable. And over here in Tijuana is the head chief. And there's this organization, there's a lot of them. They're all uniting. One is called Resistencia Tijuana, that is Resistance Tijuana. Another one is called Civil Resistance Tijuana. And the most important one that is, it's kind of like the most important one, it's called, there's another one, Frontline Tijuana. And the most important one is 100 for Tijuana.
Yeah.
This one, the head.
Uh-oh. We got locked up or something. Oh, shoot.
The one that is...
You still there? Nope, we lost him. Oh, he's calling back.
I'm so sorry. I received a phone call.
That's all right. I'm glad we got you back. It's fine. No problem.
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Intends to happen at this time. So,
100 for Tijuana. That's where you left off.
Yes.
You said you left off at 100 for Tijuana.
Okay. The guy. His name is Alberto Scurido.
Okay.
This is the guy that is basically, he loves the city the way that I love it. And this organization is full with lawyers, doctors, teachers, and all this stuff. They're not your typical average guys. It's just citizens that they have a profession. And what they did, they reunited a document, and there was this big meeting in Mexico with the United Nations, human rights, and the government. And there was this guy that handed off the document, that his name is Eliseo Sandoval. Eliseo Sandoval took the document to human rights. Human rights, the person in charge of United Nations, saw the document, immediately made a face, and he said, "This is not our fault. This is the government's fault." Imagine that. They are the ones that they have this new world order and this open border migration, and they don't want to held accountable for all this that is happening. So this national, this United Nations are the ones that they, like the kid, they throws a rock and he hides the hand. Yeah. Those are the ones. Now they took the letter to human rights, and they said, "Oh, this is not our fault. This is the government's fault too." So what they did is that they had a copy of the letter, and on yesterday they made a protest at the federal building that is human rights that they is renting. They went over there and they asked for the resignation of the head chief and another one that is called Olvera. The last name is Olvera. They asked for the resignation of these 2 people because they're incompetent of handling this caravan, this movement of the caravan. They don't want no more movements of the caravan. So that, that was the main protest, and for them to ask them to put the points of inspection so the caravan can get, deteriorized, and they can have these the documents, and they can inspection everything about them. So that was basically what the rally was about.
And when do you expect those changes to take place, or are you thinking that they may be delayed? Because obviously Tijuana has been hit hard by the caravans, and they're going back to your city. You've got the terrorist in town talking up how not only are more caravans coming to meet the ones that are already there, but there's a whole bunch of people waiting for asylum in Tijuana, and they need money. And Alfonso wants you to send them money.
Canijo. Alfonso Ulloa. Alfonso Ulloa, man, this character. That's what he is. He's a character. He tries to act up like a little angel helping immigrants.
Yeah.
That's what he tries to act up. And, it's funny. It's real funny, Cindy, because I saw him, I think that it was a week ago. They sent me a video. I don't watch him. I don't watch him at all. It's not that I hate the guy. It's that I don't like him. Why? Because he just comes to my city, agitates, instigates, provokes fear to the citizens, and then he goes off his way like nothing has happened. So I was watching this video of him, and he was basically saying that he was staying at the floor, and he was sleeping on, and he was only had a sleeping bag, and he didn't have no food, and he had no money, and he was suffering, and he goes eventually to the American public, and they are Americans that they're giving him interviews. Imagine this. There are Americans that they're giving him interviews, and not only that, he's asking the American public, the ones that they were accusing him of a terrorist attack against employees or servicemen for the United States, and he's asking, he's that cynical. He's asking them for money, and there's people that they're delivering money to him. But it's funny how a week ago he did not have 1 cent. And now, 2 days ago, he's over here.
Do you have the names, or do you know exactly who's giving him financial donations from the United States? Are you aware of anybody in particular groups?
This guy that is in charge of Antifa, Evan Duke.
Evan Duke.
Yes.
You know that
he is buddy with him. Oh my God.
Did you see them together in Tijuana?
No. I saw a conversation. And there was a lot of speculations that both of them, they're pretty related. They're extremely related. And that is the reason why.
Tell me more about this.
Was that?
Tell me more about the relations.
Yes. This relationship started happening when he took the decision of all of a sudden he came to Tijuana. This guy was not even involved in the Caravan. You can ask people from the Caravan, from that Caravan, do you know Alfonso? Do you know Alfonso? Nobody knew that guy. Nobody knew that guy. A lot of them didn't like him at all.
Wow.
And now, all of a sudden he came with what money? And he left. And when he left, there's a conversation. I hope that I can find that document. I will give it to you. There's a conversation that is basically, it was infiltrated on a conversation with a guy from Antifa and him having a conversation about, yes, we're going to dominate. Yes, we're going to invade the United States. That's a conversation from Alfonso.
With Evan Duke.
From Alfonso.
With Evan Duke.
With a person from Antifa.
Wow.
And that is their conversations. And Alfonso, he doesn't care about going out and about saying that his number one purpose is to invade the United States, invade the gringos. That's what he said. So, it clearly tells you that this guy is getting paid. And we already know, and I told you in the last program, he's being paid by the left. That's the only place that he's being paid. And I don't know why they have him over here in Mexico, and they don't have the authority to move him away. There's too much corruption. It's out of our hands, Cindy. It's out of our hands. The only thing that as citizens that we can do is inform, communicate, and pretty much what we can do is unite and tell the government to make him leave again.
No.
Why? Because a lot of people are afraid of the things that he might do.
Yeah. I had a question about when he got arrested. Shortly after he went to the American Embassy in Tijuana to give a letter, which you said he refused to show the contents of the manila envelope that he delivered to the embassy to any reporters, because you believe he was just bluffing. He didn't really have anything, and he was just saying that he was going to do that.
Oh no! Later on in an interview with some journalist from Tijuana, I will find you that interview. It's I have it on my saved message, my saved videos that they send me.
Okay.
He came out and he said that that he was lying.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
He came out and he said that he was lying, that it was all a bluff.
So he didn't even have a letter.
No,
he never had a letter.
He had a letter, but he had a letter like pleading for the United States for asylum. A normal, typical letter for asylum. We don't even the people from Honduras, they were protesting that day, they were manifesting that day.
Yeah.
They don't even know which letter he put, because he let all of the people know that the letter that it was in that envelope, it was the one that was demanding 50,000, demanding open borders, demanding everything to President Trump. It's your fault because our social economy and insecurity is really bad. So this guy, you know, he made a smoke screen with that.
Yeah.
And that is why everybody, you know, was forcing him to open the manila envelope. Open it. And he didn't want to open it. You know why?
Because there was no
Because who do you think it was on his side protecting him all the time? Human rights.
Whoa.
So why do you think that human rights is collided with everything? That is the institution that it comes from, the United Nations.
Yeah.
That is why all these organizations are collided and they're working together.
Aren't they supposed to follow the laws of the host country that they are in? United
referring
Nations.
to what laws you're talking about?
Well, if United Nations is there doing human rights work, aren't they supposed to follow the laws of Mexico?
The International Pact of Immigration says that the country that is hosting, and not even said hosting, it says that they're giving the right for the immigrant. We have the obligation to feed them, clothe them, guide them, school them, and give them Social Security and treat them like a citizen of Mexico. So that tells you that they have the same right at law that everybody else.
Right, but you know,
so they're not,
you as a citizen of Mexico have to follow the laws, and you're subject to the laws, and you're subject to arrest if you break them.
Oh yes.
The migrants, the equivalency you're giving me is that human rights is giving them preferential treatment in such a way that they are above the law.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
I have a question about this Ulloa, especially because I know he was arrested shortly after he went to the embassy, and then somehow he's back in your city. Why did they let him out of jail? Do you know anything about the arrest? I know he went back to Veracruz.
It was just arrested because of obstruction of justice, something like that. And you know, alterando el orden, disturbing the peace. Disturbing the peace. Yes. Disturbing the peace. So he was just arrested for that. But the government told him, you know, you're causing too much problems. You need to get out. This is too much.
Whoa.
So he got out. And now he's back and he's doing these little videos. You know, he's doing these little videos. The first video that he did, he's kind of letting us know where he's at.
Yeah.
So he's trying to play like I'm the bait. Come and get me. He thinks I'm dumb. I don't know what he thinks. He thinks I'm dumb. He thinks I'm right here, Blue. Come and get me. I'm right here. No, I'm not, guy. No, I'm not. The city of Tijuana is really smart, and they know, what are you trying to do? You're trying to get attention again.
Oh yeah.
That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to do exactly the same thing that you did the last time. Instigate, agitate, attention, so everybody can get distracted, and you have a game plan already. You got something planned. You didn't came over here because you want to help. Get out of here with that. We already know that. Last time that you came over here, what kind of help you did? Wash feet of the immigrants? What other help do you did?
Like
the only thing that you did was agitate the whole city, whole social media, to go to interview you for a letter you put out there to everybody know you. And now you back again over here. There's a purpose, Cindy. And there's a purpose. Why I'm talking about a purpose? Because this 500 that they just crossed, and they hurt our officers. They dismantled the whole, 150 federal agents. This 500 of them, all of them are claiming to come to Tijuana. Something's up. Something is up. Something is going to happen, and it's not going to be pretty.
I have to tell you, I listen to his videos sometimes. I don't get to hear them all, but I listen to his videos to hear how the propaganda he is spewing in these videos lines up with the Americans that are helping them. Because I pay attention to the messaging, and I want to run something by you, okay, Oscar? This is one of the things he said. I want your reaction to this information, especially since you're here to give us an update that includes a rash of crimes, a huge increase of crimes and deaths that you say are attributable to this inflow of caravan goers. And here's what he said. He says that, he got this information from a police officer, and that he also has noticed, it is true, that there are Mexicans committing crimes with an Honduran accent to pretend that they are Hondurans, so that wait a minute,
oh my God!
So that the people of Mexico will hate the caravan, so that they can impersonate people in the caravan, and that a policeman told him this information.
Oh my God, he's lying so much. Look, let me tell you what they do. Then this is eventually, we already know that they do this, and you can ask every officer from the United States Customs and from the Border Patrol. When they pick them up, what do they say? Where are you from? And they say, Mexico. They don't say Honduras. They say Mexico.
Really?
When there are a lot of them that they live in LA, a lot of them say, I'm Mexican citizen. Why? Because they know that they don't like them. And they know that eventually, if they're, say, from Honduras, they're not going to blend in the movement of illegals in the United States. So what are they going to say? I'm Mexican. So that's why everybody says that it's 22 million are Mexican. And they're not. The hell out of here, you Ulloa. That means it's just things are. It's looking for justify the unjustifiable.
Right.
He's looking something for excuses. He's just looking something to protect his own image, his own people, trying to look like an angel around these people, and he's not. I want to look at him straight in the eye and tell him, what are you doing over here? First, how do you got here? Second, and I want you to explain to me all of these crimes that you people have done. Why is not an inspection point, and why we have MS-18s and MS-8 and 13s coming over here? Why don't you fight with these people in your country? And why do you fight if you're so concerned about, the International Pact of Immigration? Why are your people not respecting the International Pact of Immigration that is coming and documented peacefully and with a purpose? You should be on the border of Guatemala, fighting for your country and fighting for your countrymen to tell them, hey, come in peacefully, come in documented and with a purpose, and putting a point of inspection crossing, telling to the Mexican authorities, please give us a point of inspection. Why you haven't done that over here in Tijuana? Because you don't want to do it. That is why. Because you want freedom. You want freebie. Everything you want to get loose. You want to do whatever the hell you want. Why you didn't control the Barretal? Why there were MS-18s and MS-13s over there? Why they were taxing your own countrymen? Why you didn't do nothing about that?
They were shaking them down.
Concerned about the only movement.
The MS-13 was shaking down, extorting people from the caravan at El Barretal, at the other shelter, Benito Juarez, outside and inside.
Yes, they were. They were asking their own country. This is information that the people from the caravan tell me. As long as I was there were a lot of good people.
Right.
I'm saying good people, Cindy.
Right.
They were good citizens from Honduras, good citizens from Guatemala, and good citizens from El Salvador, and they were tired of it. They were tired of it, telling me these people are just, we just got a job, and they're going at our tent asking us for a tax.
Wow.
So why don't you, Ulloa, go over there and fix all this stuff.
Yeah.
And why are you telling me that in my city of Tijuana, we are counterfeit saying that I'm Honduras and I'm not Mexican? Do you imagine a Mexican doing that?
Oh, it sounds ridiculous.
Never in his life. That will be the last thing that he could say over here in Tijuana. So he's lying. Like he has lied about everything.
It's so ridiculous. And speaking of MS-13, you told me something really disturbing today. We all knew that there were instigators at Piedras Negras shelter in Coahuila, and we later learned there was one high-value target from MS-13, but there was a total of 25, I believe, that were taken out of there, and I thought they were deported. Can you please update us on where those MS-13, the ones from Piedras Negras, are right now?
The speculation is that they just arrived today.
In Tijuana.
Yes. I was right there when they told me, hey, they just arrived to a diner that is called Celiciano of Father Chava. This is a Catholic,
Shelter?
A shelter that helps immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
It holds 50 immigrants right now, and the person in charge, I think that it was from Argentina or Chile.
Mm-hmm.
It's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that it was telling me that they fed 30 people, exactly 30, from Piedras Negras. Remember what I told you?
So they came from Piedras Negras. She knew that they were from Piedras Negras.
Yes.
Whoa.
And exactly 30. And those 30 were the ones that they were agitating in the last caravan, that it was in Piedras Negras.
Oh my God.
So why are they moving over here? Why? They don't have a place to put them, Cindy.
Why didn't they just deport them? Why didn't they just get rid of them? They knew that they were MS-13.
This is the problem with the Institution National of Immigration. They are basically, they have a gag order too. They cannot deport them if Human Rights doesn't give them the order to deport them. That is exactly the same gag order that they have over here in Tijuana with the mayor. You can detain them, yes. Give them the 72 hours. Okay, good. They get out. You made a crime. You have to go back to your country. No, Human Rights, I'm right here. You can't deport him. He needs to stay here. So these people go on and vandalize, go on and vandalize, go on and vandalize. Like Ulloa came in over here, disturbed the peace, and he went off his way, and he comes back again, trying to act like he's not going to do anything, like he's visiting shelters, and he's like, oh, I'm going to show you right now where the immigrants live. Look how horrible they live. We are not responsible of where they live. Listen up, man.
Right.
You're the one that is migrating over here. This is the place. This is our country. This is the way that our country is built. Is 60 million in poverty. This guy wants them to put in a hotel, in a 5-star hotel with a menu. Really, it's just so illogical the way he thinks.
Yeah.
It's really so illogical.
Yeah, he was complaining in one of his videos that people are being sent in busloads in smaller groups to different states throughout the Republic of Mexico. And he says that he believes the goal of doing this by the Mexican government is to disarm the caravan, number one, and two, to make them vulnerable to gangs and cartels. But one of the things that really disturbed me about what he was saying was that they don't give them shelter, they don't give them money, they don't give them food. And I thought, when in the history of migration do migrants automatically get shelter, food, and money because they're in your country?
This two activists, and I'm going to be, this gets me upset. These two activists, these two women that give a letter to our president.
Oh,
they gave a letter to our president when he came over here, and this letter was saying that they didn't have the fundamentals of living, the essentials for living.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, Ulloa and these two women, how our people live? I showed a video a couple of days ago that I was walking on the side of the freeway to show the American public how the wall was getting built, And citizens from my country lived in a cave in the sand. In a cave in the sand. I showed it. Immigrants they were deported from the United States to our city, to Tijuana. They live in a park in a tent. If you go to the east of our city, there's people living in carton houses. There's a canal where all the drainage goes. There's families living in the canal. It's poverty over here. What do you expect? They gave you essentials to live. A roof, food in the morning and in the afternoon, clothing donated by the United States, good clothes, good shoes, good everything, and the liberty to do whatever the hell you want. Not even one shelter, two, and not even two. They gave you three with 22 portable bathrooms in one of them, and 8 of them in the other one, and 26 of them in the first one. What the hell are you talking about that they haven't given you the essentials to live? A lot of immigrants, if you go to the park, I have gone to this park that is called Mapa with Mexican immigrants, and I tell them, and they're like, man, and they get that, and we don't get not even one portable bathroom?
Nothing.
Imagine that.
Oh,
this
Mexicans.
is a guy that is completely irresponsible. That is his thing, Cindy. He comes here to agitate.
Mexicans.
He comes here to get me like this.
Mexicans, let me tell you something. Mexicans on both sides of the border are angry about this. I can't stand hearing that kind of thing because I know the abject poverty with which a large percentage of the people of Mexico live. I know because I've grown up in Mexico. I've seen it with my own eyes. I have family there, and they're angry. My father and mother, who are citizens of the United States, every time they see this stuff on television, they're like, "Qué chingados anda pidiendo?" Like they lose their mind because they know that this is ridiculous. And I don't understand as an American how American citizens, many of them progressives, continue to cry and raise their voices about these issues as if these people were being tortured and mistreated with the worst kind of treatment by the Mexican government and the Mexican people. It's really insulting.
It's all this international pact. This international pact make them think that they were coming to Palm Springs or Beverly Hills. They make them think that. Really, they did.
Oh my God.
And when they were migrating, you know, you had an incident of a young man in the shelter at Barretal that he had a BB gun, a fake gun.
What?
And he pointed that fake gun to the federal agents because the federal agents told him, it's too late. You're supposed to be here at this time. You're not getting in.
Right.
So he opened up the BB gun and he pointed at him, and everybody and the federal agents and the Marines are, you know, immediately picking up their guns and pointing at him. Put the gun down. Put the gun down. And he was yelling, "Your president is my president. Your president gave you an order. You're supposed to open me the door. You're supposed to feed me, clothe me, give me everything." With the gun in his hand, making them think that it was a real gun. And it was not. I don't know how many incidents we need, Cindy. No. I don't know how many incidents. There were 2 police officers killed in Chiapas by 2 MS-18s. That is speculated.
And when did that happen? When did that happen, Oscar?
This was on the weekend.
Okay.
It was on Monday or Sunday. And there was another guy from El Salvador that got arrested, from Honduras, that got arrested, that he was molesting women in a particular avenue in Ciudad Hidalgo.
Jesus Christ.
And there was this young kid that got killed yesterday at a mall in Monterey by a caravan posse that went over there at this mall and they tried to assault some businesses. So this kid tried to defend himself and he got murdered.
Jesus God.
And last night, this woman with 2 children, this is so unfortunate. I don't know who coached these women, tried to cross the most trafficked avenue in the whole city of Tijuana, where they drive at most at 65 to 70 miles an hour. She tried to cross 2 roads to get to the fence and try to cross illegally to claim asylum. She got ran over with her 2 kids. She got killed. The other two kids, one of them had a brain seizure and the other one had serious injuries. How many incidents do we need? This is all comes to one bubble that the person that we're talking about, this personality, this subject, Ulloa, to tell him all this stuff. How in the hell are you going to protect all these incidents? I have paper. I have incidents.
Mm-hmm.
And all these things, he doesn't say about him. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't say absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah,
those are the things that, incidents that a lot of people don't say nothing.
And, it's in the news in Mexico. I see you every day with your newspaper going through and telling people what's going on. The increase in violence, the increase in deaths, the increase in crime are very troubling. And it's happening right now in Mexico with this explosion of caravans. And people really want to know, ¿cuál va a ser el paradero de todo esto? I mean, like, where will this end? I want to start off addressing some of the questions so that you have some opportunity to answer some of the questions from the audience.
Cindy, I got like 10 minutes. Is that okay?
That's fine. Let's do it. I want to make sure and we address some of these. From Mary Fairchild, will Mexico...
I'm sorry, I got to pick up my son at 6:30. I'm so sorry.
Nope, I got it. I understand. That's perfect. Gives you 10 minutes to answer some of these questions.
No, and a little bit more.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mary Fairchild says, will Mexico have enough resources, food, to feed this invasion if it continues on and on?
Well, fortunately, the Marines have given 85,000 ration, food servings to the last. That was the number between November and December and part of January. 85,000. Imagine that. So all of the food and all these things. Who pays the Marine? Who pays all these government offices? Our taxes. So yes, they're going to have for the essentials for them to get feed and to have a temporary shelter where they can live. But for maintaining them, giving them clothes and shoes and all this stuff, that's why they got this American organization. So they are getting basically support from these people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, from Beth Kennedy, is there a way for Americans to contact the Mexican government about these circumstances, to express their concern, their upset? And who would you recommend that they contact?
Oh, forget about the Mexican government. I will tell that lady, go to your, with all due respect, go to your government offices right here and talk about immigration reform. Talk about immigration reform.
So you think they should stick with talking to people here in our government, in our Congress, our leadership?
The American public, Cindy, they're worried about, basically their country. And how they're going to enter to the country because they're coming.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what you guys need to do. You guys were worried, and I had a big discussion with the American public like 2 months ago, and I told them, you guys are so focused for 4 years almost at a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Let's build the wall. Let's build the wall. Let's build the wall. Okay, they funded the wall. They built the wall. It's a step for slowing them down. Is it going to stop them?
No.
I asked you. And a lot of, negativity and blind people said, yes, it is going to stop. Why are they still coming then? With the wall already built in California.
Right.
Why? Immigration reform. Go to your government offices. Go to your government representatives. Go to your government representatives and tell them, this is invasion. This is happening. Immigration reform. Change immigration laws. That is what they need to do, Cindy.
Yeah, and I have another question for you from Baldy Jackson. Do you think that the Mexican citizens will revolt in a civil war?
I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that to happen, and I don't even want to think about it.
It's a horrible.
I don't even want to think about it, but I will tell you one thing. The city of Tijuana will fight if that happens. And I think that a lot of cities will eventually stand up. And it takes, for Mexico, you know, there's the different cultures when it comes to America and when it comes to Mexico. These are the things. In America, they prevent. They're so technical about everything. You need to put in Exhibit A with Exhibit A. Over here in Mexico, they will say you can put Exhibit A and you can fit it in Exhibit B. You know, over here in Mexico, they do until it happens to you, you'll do something about it. Don't drink and drive. I'm okay, I can drive. You crash. Oh man, I don't have to drink and drive. That's the mentality. So until something big happens over here, boom, it's going to be an explosion. A big explosion of people, you know, a big explosion of anger, and those are the things that I don't want. You know, we're trying to prevent that. Like I've been telling the American audience, that we are trying to prevent violence. Let's just do things right. Document it with a purpose. Okay, you want to migrate? That's okay. You want to come to work? That's okay. You want to migrate to the United States? There's a line, buddy. There's a big line of Mexicans they're in front of you. Tourist visa, permits, residents, want-to-be citizens. All these people are in front. What kind of privilege do you guys get when the person is waiting for 20 years to get to the United States? You guys all the way push it to the first row. It is, you know, it is irresponsible. It is unreasonable. It is not thinking about our citizens.
Yeah, it's unfair.
You know, I hope not. But if that happens, you know, Baldy, I will tell you that I will be the first one lined up in the first row defending my people.
Thank you. Another question from Colleen Kennedy. I actually have a question about this too, Colleen, because I have been watching the propaganda. I mean, I've seen the propaganda from these Standing Rock phonies and these activists connected to Antifa in the United States, because they have so many different people working at The Guardian, at The Intercept, at Yes Magazine, and all these different publications that I have told you, my audience, you need to watch out for, because they have reporters working there, and so they can disseminate their propaganda through the media. Now, the question for the Mexican media, for you, Oscar, is the Mexican media, newspapers, mainstream news, as fake and as corrupt as ours is in the USA? I did notice there's been several articles in Spanish in newspapers like Animal Político and others, and I was like, what's your answer?
They, you know, thanks to technology, thanks to social media, thanks to all these things that we do, live videos, and these other apps that we can do it. There's a program that is I was talking to you about these guys from Liberty League, I think their name.
Yeah.
They're really awesome guys. And I was listening to them a couple of days ago, and they were saying, imagine how many years we've been blinded. How many years we have, you know, been with our eyes wide shut if this kind of information didn't came out. You know, you don't see the type of videos that Anthony, Agüero, my partner, and myself do, going to shelters, showing the wall, showing how deep is the wall, showing the incidents, talking about the real incidents, and predicting and being certain about it. And those kind of things, yes, we've been blinded, people, and they're corrupt. Over here, they're a double as corrupt as CNN, as MSNBC, as sometimes Fox. They're exactly the same way. But unfortunately, you know, it's time for you guys to wake up and listen to people that they are citizens. Citizens that they are constantly giving you guys information. Constantly. Cindy, the people that I know, follow those people. Follow Cindy. Follow the Liberty League. Follow Will Johnson. Follow Ben Berquam. Follow Anthony Agüero. follow Arizona Patriots, follow Paloma for Trump, and follow, myself. And then a lot of people that I cannot, name. There's a lot of good people that give good information. Follow those people. Follow them. This is better information than the one that you're going to get in the news, Telemundo, Univision, Televisa, TV Azteca, CNN, Fox, and MSNBC. Better than that.
And it's la gente se va con la finta, especialmente con Univision. For those of you out there listening I know that people think, oh, es Univision, like we're going to get the real deal about what's happening in Mexico or in Tijuana. Oh, yes, Jorge Ramos is going to tell us the truth. But it's such a disappointment.
Yes. Jorge Ramos is just a guy that, it disappointed me to a point that I used to admire that guy. And I have said it a couple more than 2 times. I used to admire that guy so much until he started breaking off.
Yeah. Until
he got to a point that he called us racist, and he sells himself for his broadcast company. So that that is not a reliable person.
Now here's probably the last question I'll ask. This one is from Mary Fairchild. If this causes the United States Border Patrol to have to use live ammunition to stop immigrants, can the UN step in with military forces to protect them? Your thoughts?
They already, for information that I have known, they already have certain, individuals in your country already.
Really?
Military, police from the UN.
Oh.
They are ready. And that is why your president, Donald J. Trump, said this: if you hesitate, if you want to take one step closer to my border and try to cross it, we will not hesitate to shoot. We will not, doubt of shooting and stopping whatever movement that you want to do across our border. He already said it, and he stepped on his word. He shoot tear gas and, rubber bullets. Next time, if they want to do something funny and a more mass of destruction of people, yes, he's going to do it. They had 2 choppers from the Navy, from the National Guard on top. What do you think they're going to do? They're just watching? No. They're ready to take action, and they're ready to shoot. This is, the United States is not going to permit it. The United States is not going to let his country get invaded. And like your president has said, I envy, sometimes that president. I don't follow, and I'm not a Republican, but I envy what it says. United States will never be socialist. United States will never be socialist. And right now, my country it leads to that. So yes, they will not hesitate to shoot. Not even, it doesn't matter which authority it goes, Cindy. It doesn't matter if it is the Mexican authority. It doesn't matter if it is Cuba. It doesn't matter if it is Dominican. It doesn't matter if it is whatever. It doesn't matter if it is the United Nations. The United States is not going to hesitate to shoot.
I showed on my last show from yesterday, Oscar, the connections between the Socialist Democrats and the organizers that are funding the support for this caravan. I recommend people go and check it out. I called it Fake Progressives, was it? Progressive Frauds. Progressive Frauds. We'll be sharing all of those shows on the comments of this program. Thank you so much for coming on my show again to tell us what's really going on in Mexico from your perspective, a citizen of Mexico, a resident of Tijuana, and somebody that has connections throughout the Republic of Mexico getting information every single day. We will have you back on again. Thank you very much, Oscar.
No, thank you. Thank you, Duke. Thank you, Cindy. Thanks to the whole American public. They're beautiful. To the people from Minnesota, and just, for words of comfort just before I leave, America is the #1 country in the world. America is a beautiful country. for the people that they are, they're on doubt that they're going to get invaded, that they are, losing the fight, or they are, basically something is happening. They're not doing anything about it. Remember your four founding fathers. Remember Abraham Lincoln. Remember Thomas Jefferson. Remember George Washington. Remember those people that fought for your country. Remember those people that always woke up being proud of being American. You guys were born in a golden ticket. You guys have the most beautiful gift that God can give you, that it was born in the land of the home of the brave and the land of the free. So don't worry about anything. Just stand up, stay tall, defend your country, go to your Republican offices, demand your right, demand what is yours, and defend your country till the last thing.
Thank you very much, Oscar. Wise words. Now,
buenas noches.
Buenas noches, Oscar. Thank you.
Stay safe. Oh, Cindy.
Yes, sir.
Before I go.
Sure.
I want to, can I say something real quick?
Of course.
I want to thank my partner, Anthony Agüero. He's doing a phenomenal job at Border Network News. Follow us at Border Network News, please. He has a surprise for you guys on Thursday. Tomorrow, he's going to travel to some city to be a national speaker. I'm extremely proud of him. You don't imagine how proud of him. He has grown a lot. And that means that he's going to be a Hispanic leader one day in that great nation of America. So follow Border Network News and follow Cindy and follow all the good patriots across the country. And, always your country first. That's my slogan. So have a great day, Cindy.
Thank you very much. I noticed that Nemo is putting up some questions for me from the audience, and I will try to answer them as I go here. The first one is from Dora Sanchez. Cindy, this question is for you. Do you know why we keep allowing illegals to come in if we are not in the pact? Yes, you really should watch my show from yesterday, Progressive Frauds, because a lot of people that are connected to the campaigns of the Justice Democrats, the Socialist Democrats, the ones like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders, also Bernie Sanders, and Kamala Harris, and a lot of these other folks that have postulated themselves for the presidency in 2020, like Tulsi Gabbard, I have talked about on this show. They are connected to people from Hollywood. Nancy Pelosi's nephew, Gavin Newsom, just gave up 25 million G's to some of these organizations that I have been exposing on my show, like the Minority Humanitarian Foundation, which is umbrellaed under the San Diego Rapid Response Network. It has all of these connections to the Bernie Sanders campaign and the PR machine and all of the army of activists that he has working with him, that are connected to By Any Means Necessary, connected to these Antifa groups. I don't know how it's possible that he is blissfully unaware about this. It's possible, I guess, that he doesn't know that all of the people around him are working with these groups or connected to these groups. I find it very strange. I will try and find some answers from those elected leaders in Congress that are connecting themselves to these groups that are anti-Semitic, like Ilhan Omar, to these groups like the BDS movement. I call it BDSM, excuse me, BDS movement, and the leaders of the Women's March, who I've showed on my show in the Desert Storm show, her connection to BDS, to Nation of Islam, to Farrakhan, and her own family members spent some time in jail in Israel for funding Hamas, the terrorist organization, through raising money in a furniture shop that they owned in Detroit, Michigan. I mean, I got all the receipts in there, and other people that she calls like her mentors and spiritual leaders, like the Imam Siraj Wahaj. I covered it all. I made sure that I showed my receipts, that I showed my work so that you guys could see for yourself. I showed you in my show, Publicists for Predators, that some of the organizers that work on Bernie Sanders' campaign, that have been working with these progressive frauds that came out here and wreaked havoc in North Dakota for over a year with their protest camps. Have connections in the media, like the Young Turks, have connections all over the place that are helping fund the political campaigns of a lot of these folks that have just entered into Congress. And it is astounding the amount of money and the amount of support that they have, both in Congress and in Hollywood. And the very, very rich people, Blue was saying, I don't know why these very, very rich people keep asking for money and keep asking Americans to fund the Caravan and help the Caravan when they are millionaires. Some of them are billionaires. I do, because there is a political purpose behind this. Do any of you really think that the lawyers, for example, at Al Otro Lado, that admitted, as I showed on my show, that they founded this organization just 4 years ago, that the leader, Nicole Ramos, didn't have any knowledge of asylum law? These people are literally flying by the seat of their pants. They're jumping in with 2 feet into something they know nothing about. How do you get so many incompetent people without a background in the thing that they claim that they're experts at doing while they're helping this Caravan? Whether it be getting them legal advice, or these activists that are also giving them legal advice, or, doing journalism when they've never had a story, doing documentary films when they've never had a documentary in the past. How do you have such a large network of people that are this incompetent leading the Caravan support network, leading the funding of this Caravan? Why? It's simple. They don't intend to do anything with the Caravan. They are just making money and bringing them here, and then they're going to abandon them. And Americans are going to have to pay for the broken plates, as we say in Spanish. You're going to have to do the cleanup. Our government is going to have to clean this up for these people. They're going to walk away and go on to their next scheme. That's how it goes. Cindy, can you please let me know what time you and your husband start and what time does it last? Okay. Love you too. Sending you love. We usually do our shows on a daily basis at around 7 or 8. However, I've been trying to do more shows in Spanish because I feel that the exchange of information from me to Mexicans about what I know about the activists on this side of the border is really super important, because people like Blue are sitting there scratching their heads going, what is Zoe Zaldana doing here inside Tijuana? And I have the answers. I'm like, I know the answer to that. So I want people in Mexico to know that in Spanish, which means I'm kind of like burning both ends of the candle here. And when I put together my shows, as you've noticed, they go for a really long time, sometimes 2, sometimes 3 hours. For those of you who are followers of Blue, who've come to watch my show and seen the way that I do my show, I painstakingly research every show and go through and show receipts and explain things so that you can go and verify for yourself that what I am telling you is truth. So that you can go and watch the videos, read the posts, read the tweets, check out the information, so that people who have for the last 2.5 years been calling me a liar or saying that I'm just a sensationalist, that I make up information, that I spread rumors, have no basis or foundation to say that. Because anybody that spends any time watching one of my shows for more than 10 or 20 minutes will see I show all of my evidence. So sometimes I can only do a show every other day. Also, locally, I have been trying to get this information out to the people of Minnesota and North Dakota through our media here, like our local radio and television stations. So I have been going and doing shows on their stations, on their platforms. sometimes in Skype, sometimes in person. And that means I don't always have enough time to do a show on my platform. When I do, sometimes we have technological difficulties with the new software. I don't know if you've been following me for a while, you know we've changed it up a little bit, and it sometimes takes a little bit more time because we're just getting familiar with it. So we might start our show late, but we like to try to start around 7 or 8 p.m. Central Standard Time when we do our shows. And finally, we are a nonprofit, non-commercial station. We're run through our nonprofit, which is the People's Press Project. And because of this, because we just started like broadcasting 2 years ago, really.
Exactly, yeah.
Because of that, we are a startup that is trying to get bigger and grow our audience organically. And we survive off of the donations of listeners and viewers like you. But as you know, we are running our studio out of our home. And until we can grow to the capacity where we have more staff, more assistants, so that we can produce more programming on a regular basis, this person and that person, my co-host and husband, do other things. He has to do grant writing. He has to work on the management of the station and
snow shoveling.
We also run a household, cooking, cleaning, like all of it. Plus, I do translations. For example, I'm going to be translating for a citizenship ceremony on the 25th. I may be gone for quite a while translating for that individual. I also translate for people who are here that need to go to their ICE appointments or to their appointments to immigration with their lawyers, or to go to detention centers with immigration lawyers that hire me to do that. So I kind of do a lot of other things because I'm a translator, and there aren't a lot of people that can do that kind of work where I live, especially not those that have a legal background like I do, because I am a paralegal by trade. So that is why I rarely turn down those requests to go and translate for someone that, for example, is in a detention center, or, for example, that needs me to translate for a case where they've been injured or something like that, or they're arrested or something like that, because frequently there isn't anybody else to do it. And if I don't do it, then it just doesn't get done. Mm-hmm. So you will have to forgive me when I am absent, when I am unable to do my shows, but I try to do them regularly at 7 or 8 if we have technical difficulties. I hope that answers your question to the best of my ability. Cindy, does the President, Donald J. Trump, know about your radio station? I don't know. I've heard people, I mean, I have joked, I've joked from time to time that I think that people are listening in this administration, that I think people are listening, not just in Trump's administration, but in Congress. And then I have had some other media colleagues like Tori Says from the Tori Says show. Mm-hmm. She has a program on the radio that have told me that people are watching.
Really?
And she is friends with Donald J. Trump, like personal friends with him. So maybe it's possible, I guess. I don't have a personal verification of that other than through hearsay from Tori Says. So I can't say for sure. And she is another person that I have appeared on her show and probably will again. So I wanted to share with you a few things that I'm going to be talking about in my upcoming shows, and I really recommend that you check back in. I wanted to share some of these things with you tonight, but we are going into 1.5 hours here, and I kind of want to wrap it up for tonight, since I'm going to go and do a radio show at another station tomorrow. If you want to catch me and you're listening locally, I will be at WDAY with Jay Thomas on the Jay Thomas Show tomorrow at 3-ish.
Yep.
Yeah, he scheduled me at 3-ish. Like 3. But usually I have to wait a little bit before we go on. So anyway, that's when I'll be there. If you want to hear, if you want to listen live, you can go to WDAY online and catch the in-studio camera, listen live for that show. I'll be giving our local audience an update on what's going on in the border, and you get a preview of what I'm going to talk about. Today, Patricia Akwomu, one of the activists that I told you has been uniting herself, adding herself to the Standing Rock Phonies. That's what we've labeled them on my show. The Standing Rock Phonies. These are actors, stunt doubles, literally, you know, a lot of them have IMDb's that went to Standing Rock, that were activists, that were water protectors, that were out there supposedly, are now inserting themselves into this whole Caravan support network. They are protesting in Texas in a variety of locations. Louis Monsivice, one such stunt double, who has a history of crimes. He and his brother both. And there's an article called Louis Monsivice Gutierrez, that's his real name, and brother, that I will share with you from corenews.org, in which it talks about the secret life of these Hollywood pipeline protesters and gives the extensive history of Louis Monsivice. Louis Monsivice is how he goes on Facebook. That's not really his name. And it says that pipeline protesters have begun dismantling the West Texas protest camp. This is an old article. These are career protesters, is what I'm saying. And they're there in Texas now, wreaking havoc. And they were requesting bus fare from donors to return home. Sound familiar? As the Trans-Pecos pipeline is certified for operation. But earlier this year, Camp Tail Deer, another West Texas protest camp, was disbanded in late January after the owner of the land kicked out camp leaders and film industry veteran Louis Monsivice Gutierrez for his long criminal history. I'm going to spell that for you so you can check him out on Facebook. Louis Monsivice, Moncivas. They left out an I. He actually spells his name Moncivas on Facebook. Go check it out. It goes on. Gutierrez was an experienced stunt coordinator and actor whose stunts extended beyond the big screen and into the real world of criminal activity. According to a public record search, Gutierrez has multiple stints in jail, most recently in 2005. This article's old. It might be even more recent than that. And has faced charges including burglary of a vehicle, criminal trespassing, bail jumping, and failure to appear, among others. I have shared with my audience that he was recently bragging about being a coyote and being him and his family being some of the best, most professional coyotes there are. He knows all the best places to cross into this country illegally. That guy is with the Statue of Liberty climber, the African woman that climbed the Statue of Liberty protesting immigration policy, Patricia Akwomu, in Texas. I believe they were in Austin, Texas, where Patricia Akwomu was climbing something new. What was she climbing? Well, Patricia Akwomu was out there climbing the key. What's the name of the? Let's see if I can find it on my thing here. Hold on a minute. Southwest Keys building. Southwest Keys is one of the companies that has detention centers in Texas that people have been housed in.
Okay.
And I previously, this guy, Louis Monsiváis and his drone like to make these big public spectacles of going after people like Kelsey Warren of Energy Transfer Partners when they were doing the pipeline protests. And he went to some golf course and pretended that he was breaking into Kelsey Warren's property, and that he was filming him with a drone, and that he was never going to relent, and he was never going to stop stalking this guy, Kelsey Warren. But in reality, it's all for show. These are just stunts to get a lot of media attention and money, because Patricia Akwomu has a GoFundMe. If you go to her website, patriciaakwomu.com, that's spelled Patricia, last name Okoumou. I will share the link with you. She's got a GoFundMe. She would like your money. She's raised over $10,000 already for her activism. She needs your money for her trip to go down to Texas and F things up for the cops and make their lives miserable, just like they did here in North Dakota for over a year. They also have a video called Revolutionary Love, in which they show a lot of these other protests, like the one they did at Tornillo, where Alex Cohen, one of those other professional activists that you saw after the hurricane in Maria, remember they were hanging out there? Yep, they were in those videos. So I noticed that they're putting, in this video of Revolutionary Love, connecting it to Patricia Akwomu's work, all of these other activists that are currently in Texas. And I also wanted to share with folks that the other camp that they were at, where they're supposedly protecting the butterfly sanctuary, that isn't really a nationally recognized butterfly sanctuary, and protecting a veterans, it's Blue, he's calling me, and protecting a veterans cemetery that really doesn't seem to be a veterans cemetery because they want to stop the border wall. All of that is happening in a location where Texas DPS sent officers to go look for a guy named Jesse Garcia. One can only guess what they're looking for him for, but the activists there lied to the Texas DPS, telling them that they didn't recognize who Jesse Garcia was and they didn't know him. Meanwhile, in the comments of the video shared, that where they were live streaming the officers asking questions about this guy, Jesse Garcia is making fun of the fact that these people are lying to the authorities. That's how descarados these people are. Like, they have no shame. They mock the police right to their faces because I don't know. I mean, I don't understand why they're not arresting these folks that are in Texas. You will hear on my next show how Louis Monsiváis is filming this stunt, which required police, because she climbed up so high, that it required police to bring in some kind of like they got those like cherry
lifts,
lifts that they
crane,
the crane that goes all the way up, and he's describing, she's running away from the police, she's climbing higher, she's holding her ground. And then he starts making these demands of the owner of all of these companies that are the detention facilities, saying, and we make this demand of this guy, I can't remember what his name is, Sanchez, that he not press charges, because the laws here in Austin, Texas, is that it is up to the property owner whether or not they will press charges on the person that is trespassing. But it's not just trespassing. Do you know how many resources they're using up? They have to get this cherry picker thing.
Yeah.
And then she's basically running from climbing up even further so that the cops can't get her. How many hours of their day were taken up? They're not able to patrol the streets. They're not able to help people that have 911 emergencies. They're over there with these professional actors and activists who are just wasting time for media attention, and the media goes out there over and over again and gives it to them, and I don't know why they don't get arrested. I don't know why they don't get charged. It's crazy to me that this continues to happen. In articles that I've shared on my show from KPBS, which is one of those places that has interviewed a lot of these Antifa and activists that I've been talking about, the article from KPBS about radical American activists that are in Texas right now or have been there very recently and are working with this Caravan support network that are from Antifa and connected to BAM, the By Any Means Necessary Antifa anarchist group. Identified in the article are Evan K. Duke III, one of the leaders of Antifa, as well as Occupy ICE, Abolish ICE, and others, as well as Lilith Sinclair and Brendan Tucker are all identified in this article. Brendan is the one that lies to the Texas DPS when Garcia comes. And Doug Warren, who's also filming at the time. In this article by KPBS and in another by Reuters that I will share with my audience tonight, you can see that these same folks are identified who are currently in Texas. Lilith Sinclair and Doug Warren are sex workers. That's what their history is. It's not in activism. It's not in journalism. It's not as the spokesperson for these activist groups, as she is identified in the Reuters article. It is as sex workers, entertainers, strippers, poetry slam, activists. I mean, like, there's a lot in their background, but documenting and giving medical support are not one of them. And finally, I wanted to share, as I did a little bit with Oscar here, that Al Otro Lado's lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security is really bizarre, because what they're upset about, what they're claiming is putting the immigrants at risk in Mexico, is that the United States has a policy now to make people wait in Tijuana for their asylum claim. They have to wait in, or somewhere in Mexico, but you can't wait in the United States for your asylum claim. And they're suing the administration. It remains to be seen, as the president said, how long this will go through the courts. He had anticipated these lawsuits would happen. He said that they would, probably get sued, and then it would go into the Ninth Circuit, and then it would probably end up at the Supreme Court. So my guess is it's going to be a while. We're going to be waiting on the result of these lawsuits for a while. And in the meantime, the lawyers, the activists, and the people associated with funding and giving false hope and false information to the Caravan are going to keep telling them, we're in the right. The president, his administration, and Homeland Security and Border Patrol, they're all violating your rights. They're all breaking the law. But you keep doing what you're doing. You're good. That's my guess, my opinion, because I don't see how they can make the claim that keeping people or having people wait in Mexico is making this administration directly responsible for the cartels attacking them or MS-13 or other gangs attacking them in Mexico. I don't know how you make that leap to pin it on Trump. As much as you may dislike Trump's policies, as much as you may dislike his presidency, it's really a big leap to say that he would be responsible for that. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on A Mexican Crossing Lines with my special guest, Oscar El Blue Ramirez. I will have him back on next week. Check out my show tomorrow on WDAY with Jay Thomas. And hopefully I'll be able to bring this information to my audience here at A Mexican Crossing Line at a later time tomorrow evening. Thank you for being with your host, Cindy Gomez-Schempp,
And Gomez-Schempp.
on Mexican Crossing Lines here on 88.1 FM, KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we're adding local color to your airwaves. And as always, buenas noches.